good sessions to sort of flesh out. I think this is a really good way for us to flush out individually what we're looking for out of the conference and how we can gain information and access to resources from each other. Mm-hmm. I think you have to remember that you can't chase everything, and every strategy is not going to work for you. So whatever has been working for you in your business, maybe that needs to be intensified. In my case, I had to go back to the foundation and the root of my business in terms of what my monthly revenues had to be and how I needed to achieve it. And, you know, that's worked out very well for me. So sometimes you have to recalibrate that way. But I wanted to stress that there are probably some quiet warriors attending the conference who are not making much noise, they're not making a lot of fanfare, but they're running some really solid businesses. So if you get wind of those kind of attendees, members, or whatever, I would, you know, maybe you can sit together at lunch, or maybe you can have an offline conversation with that person following the session that you attend. Because as Marquess has ably said, there's some people who are just blowing smoke. They're there for the glory, and they're not necessarily representing who they really are in terms of the consistent accuracy of their business. But there are some people who are attending who run very solid businesses, and for me, that's the kind of person you really want to learn from. So see if you can seek those individuals out and learn from them and build a relationship with them.
You know, to your point, Carol, because it can't be easy to figure out who they are unless you're going to get introductions. If there is a session that where I want to go and I kind of want to, I don't know, try to build a relationship with that person, the scheduler allows us to go click that person's name, go to their Facebook profile, follow them on Twitter, send them a message with why you're coming to their session, and then kind of give them some, you know, love on Twitter. You know the deal. That's a good way to do it. But I think if you do a little bit of research, like Google them and kind of check out their website and maybe see who else has worked with them, I think that's a good way, Carol. I don't know if you would agree to kind of narrow down a little bit, you know, to see if this person can help you.
Yeah, it may not even be a presenter. It may be someone just attending the conference, and maybe they've been attending for several years, and they're sitting in the audience next to you. So, or they're sitting, or they've asked a really good question in one of the sessions. So it's not always the presenters who have high value. They can be the participants as well.
I agree. And to your point too, if I find someone, I'll also, I love our freaking smartphones, and I love that we can get on Google real quick, and then we can even go to NSAspeaker.org and type into find the speaker, and I can see a name tag or say, oh, that person asked a question, let me find out something about them, you know, Google it or whatever, and then boom, right after that session, begin a conversation with them. So I don't know. What do you think, Lethea?
No, I absolutely love that. And I think that it is really strategic to leverage technology to try to get on the radar of people that you would really like to get to know. And I would like to kind of talk about the back end of that as well, because I think just as it's important to kind of plan and strategize your networking at the conference, two things that I've done that have been very impactful. Number one, I bring note cards with me, branded note cards. So if I meet someone, for example, I met Linda Larson, my first conference, and she spent some time with me. And so I was able to write a note, and then later when I saw her, give her a note that just thanked her for her time. So just little things like that are going to be the things that will help people remember you and know and help them to understand how serious you are about being successful. And then having a follow-up strategy when you get back home from the conference. It is so easy to just get back into the hustle and grind of the daily activity that not the people that, you know, I'm not talking about following up with the people that, you know, you need their services or you really need their help or you want them to mentor you. It's obvious that we're going to follow up with those individuals. But just the person that showed you a kind act or someone who made you feel very welcomed. you know, taking a moment to just follow up with those individuals afterwards, I know for me has been foundational in building strong relationships that have been pivotal in my career.
Wow.
Okay.
This is good, right, guys? I'm actually looking for an article that I wrote. I don't think it was earlier this year. I attended a Infusionsoft conference, and I wrote out things that I do because I love what both Lethea and Carol said. Brilliant. This is why I love these ladies. You got to have a pre-conference plan, a post-conference plan, and an at-conference plan. And I literally wrote what I write down, because if you don't plan, you kind of get there, you get overwhelmed, and then you're pissed off when you leave because you feel like you didn't do anything, but you spent a heck of a lot of money. Anyway, as soon as I find it, I'm going to post it in the chat. But okay. Carol and Lethea and anybody else on the call, if you have a resource to share, please do, because you're hitting the nail on the dot. Now, we heard about Lori and Dale's goals. We heard about Carol earlier. Lethea, make sure you listen to the recording, because I want you and Carol to talk a little bit more, because Carol really wants to focus more on international, and I know that that's a big part of your area, and I want you guys to talk even more. So if you can...
Absolutely.
Yeah, I would love that.
Lethea, are you going to the Global Speakers Network on Friday? I'll be there.
I will be there as well.
Awesome. So we'll talk on Friday. Super. Thank you, Marquesta.
Yay! Two of my favorite ladies meeting. Other than the international, though, Lethea, what's a goal for you at this conference?
Interestingly enough, for me this year, I am really focusing on the financials of my company and the foundation. So I'm at a pivotal point where I'm looking at how my finances are set up and structured, and I'm very seriously considering setting up a complex trust, actually putting my company into a trust. And so I'm really interested in networking with the people that have been supporters and mentors for me, being able to just kind of catch some of them for some side conversations to learn a little bit more about how they're saving more of what how they're keeping more of what they're making. That's my goal, one of my big goals for this year from a networking perspective. And from a professional development perspective, I am so excited about Sylvia Henderson's event, because I was actually praying for help in that area. And then when I read her session, it was an answer to my prayer, because that is exactly what I need next in my business. I'm at the point of totally just reevaluating every word, every punctuation in my speech. And so I'm really excited about, you know, what she's going to be teaching with regards to structuring your killer keynote.
Just a side note, make sure you get to that session early, Lethea, because it looks filled just on the online scheduler.
I noticed, yeah.
So you got to get that early. But no, that sounds good. And there's a session, because I was thinking about going to it, where there was one that just looked boring about the IRS and those rules. I mean, who would go to that? But there's another one about money and your financials and everything you just said. There's an exact session on that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm really excited about it. Yeah.
So
thank you. Thank you.
Let me see. Well, I'll tell you guys, for me, I'm having that 10-year itch. I know it's 7-year itch, but I'm calling it 10-year itch. And, you know, I'm in an interesting place because, again, I'll always love speaking. That still is my core. I think I just want to change what I speak about. For the past decade, it's been growing your business reinvention, you know, using your voice to attract, to convert, you know, to serve. And I love that stuff, but I'm just sort of bored now. And I've had this interest in reality TV, as Lethea knows, for many, many years. And, you know, I'm trying to combine speaking and reality TV. So no, I'm not going there to look for folks in reality TV, but I am going to go for, I am going to seek out folks that have shifted, you know, their message. Maybe that's the best way to say it. They've shifted their message, or they've decided, hey, I got a big message that's going to take a heck of a lot of work to really create from A to Z. You know, so I want to make, you know, got that, but then I still want to keep this going because this is paying the bills, you know, the NCST part. And I still love it. Don't get me wrong. I love my members. I love my live events. But I just have a bigger dream. I don't know a better way to say it. Mm-hmm. So part of my thing is to really talk to some folks that have been in this business for years and that really took that leap into the next level and really decided, okay, I'm going to go for something crazy and big, but my passion has changed. I still want to speak about it, but what I'm going to speak about has changed. So I don't know if that clearly explains my goals, but that's sort of where I am. And then everything else that goes along. And Carol, you would be very good to speak to this. You said you've been a member for 20 years. 20 years. Yep. Your 15th year going to conferences. How do you stay motivated? Have you ever lost your mojo where you're like, okay, I don't know if I want to, whatever. Maybe it's to Lori's message, which is resiliency to a certain point. But what are your thoughts for, because Lethea, this is her 10th year too. What would be people that have reached a milestone in their business? What should we be looking into at this point?
Well, for me, I've reinvented myself several times. And I think you have to constantly, as you're doing in your 10th year, as some others may do, Adele and others, Lori may do in earlier years, is take a look at your relevancy, take a look at the impact that you are having in your particular field, and what can you do to either augment your services or add on to them. So 8 years ago now, 7 years ago, it's hard to believe, I started a multicultural symposium series, which is going strong, which is sponsorship driven. I always had sponsors. Probably the last 15 years I've had some live event that had opportunities for sponsors to participate. But the sponsorship component has become a significant part of my revenue stream, along with the other services that I offer. So it provided me 7 years ago to really sort of expand my services into a live model that would then be beneficial for me as well. I have a couple of books, so that has been a revenue stream. So I think in this business, you always have to look at how can you extend, augment, or revamp your revenue stream so that you're staying relevant and credible within the industry. If you don't do that, the way this industry changes and with technology, you can quickly see yourself as not being very marketable to your constituents. Another big thing is pay attention to the demographics, particularly with the millennials and the intergenerational dynamics that are going on in the workplace. My clients are my kids' age. So I have had to build relationships through the years with young people who are literally my children's age. And that increasingly is the marketplace. So don't get stuck on one type of person who happens to be the decision maker for that particular time period. You may have to build relationships with younger people or other individuals who may be different than you, who ultimately may be the decision makers. And it's a lot easier to do that when you already have a relationship in place. So we have to be mindful of all that, your revenue stream, income stream, the revenue stream, and the kind of levels of services and products that you bring in, and just how do you revamp yourself so that you are constantly on point and on top of all of the dynamics that go on within your particular business.
Wow. Excellent advice. Oh, my goodness. What do you guys think? What are your thoughts and ideas? Or go for it.
Well, I have to say that I can't say that I am reinventing myself exactly as much as I am inventing myself. Dell talked about, am I doing a business or am I doing a startup? And for me, it really is a startup. It is at the point of do or die startup. I've been an employee all my life. And for me, that has translated to slave. And I don't want to go back to being a slave. And so I am like really
Bingo.
to make this work because I don't want to take that slave job. So anyone who can help me keep from being a slave.
But that's also one of the difference in today between a startup and a business.
Mm-hmm.
A business that we do traditionally, as we know, has a ceiling.
Mm-hmm.
A startup, the sky's the limit if you're willing to take the risk and do what you have to do to make it happen.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yes, and I am, it is a risk, but like I said, I don't want to be a slave. I just need to know, I need any advice I can get from anyone that any of you can tell me or any of you can introduce me to is what things do I do? I've been hit or missing it. The previous 2 years, really just trying to survive and trying to get my head out of that slave mentality and go through all that kind of stuff. Now I am a lot more focused and a lot more driven, and I've learned a lot, but I have a lot to learn, and I really don't want to waste my time learning nonsense.
Gotcha.
I'm going to make a recommendation. Are you going to be there on Saturday?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Do come to the Diversity Peg.
Okay.
I'm saying that because one of my speakers is Sonia Aranza.
Mm-hmm.
Sonia will not be in attendance, but I have pre-recorded her presentation.
Mm-hmm.
And she, I think, is one of the best persons to talk about being all in this business.
Mm-hmm.
And cutting the ties from being an employee to really becoming a full-time business person.
Mm-hmm.
So I would strongly suggest you come to this session. And what I've done, because her session was 40 minutes long, it's 20 minutes long, you're only going to hear half of her presentation. The other half I'm going to upload along with this one to my YouTube channel.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll give you all that information on Saturday, but she totally speaks to what you're talking about. Totally.
Okay. So Carol, what is your last name?
My last name is Copeland Thomas.
Copeland
Thomas. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So it will be on my YouTube channel, but Sonia Aranza, she speaks to what you're talking about. And this woman, she knows how to close business, and she's been going strong for 18 years. Mm-hmm. She's one of the ones I'm talking about where you don't see her name all the time, but she's making money. She's seriously running her business the way she sees fit, and it's working for her. And she's been doing it now for a decade plus.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Well, guys, we can go just a bit more longer. We're going to have a post call. It's the Wednesday following conference. I have one more question for every single person to answer that's on this mastermind.
Mm-hmm.
What is it?
My question real quick, this is Lethea. I have a 3 o'clock I have to jump off for, but I wanted to thank everyone for the opportunity to connect with them today.
Thank you.
Yeah.
See you Friday.
All right. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye, guys. Quick question. What if after this conference is over and is done with and you're home and you're all rested up, and then you were to kind of look back and go, wow, I just went to the X conference and it was great and I met a lot of folks. What's one major regret you would have that you didn't do? Like, what's one major regret that you would have that you didn't do? What's one? Yeah. And so it's kind of a question I'm flipping, but it focuses you to prioritize.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So you don't have to answer the question out loud. For me, I'm a big time networker. I know a lot of folks. I'm learning how to, create situations where we naturally follow up, because people have intentions. You know how, I'll see you at the conference. We got to get together. But then you never get together.
Mm-hmm.
Let that happen. So I don't want that to happen. So I'm going to be intentional with who is it that I really want to follow with post this conference. Let's agree on a date, because it pisses me off when people say, call me and we'll talk. And then you follow up with them and nothing happens. So follow up is everything for me. So for me, it's being in the mindset of following up from the moment the conference starts, understanding that 4 or 5 days will go by in a second, and then creating a list. First, I have a brain dump of every single thing I want to get done, every single person I want to meet. And then I go back to that list and I say, all right, cut it in half. And then what will be my biggest regret if I don't get it done while I'm in DC? So that's all I got to say. What are your final thoughts, guys?
This is Carol, and I'm going to have to hang up after this. I am in a good space. I want to use the conference to help me reinforce in staying in this good space. So again, looking at international trends, connecting with Lethea and other people, and just learning more about just this whole sense of focus, and staying focused is what I want to concentrate on. And I look forward to seeing everybody this weekend. Take care. Thank you. Thanks, Marquessa, for doing this.
Not a problem. See you.
Bye.
Thanks, girl.
Thank you. And Marquessa, it's you and me, and I'm going to answer, give you my final thoughts. And those are that my head is swimming. It is. And I love